was shaped like a cat, it was a present from my brother. I read a lot of books, but I couldn't see between the lines. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. Well, her hair is as black as an alleyway, and it used to be red, and it used to be blonde. Truth is, her hair changes color all the time. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind.
And good morning.
Good morning. Here's my cup of coffee. And I do like that. Of course, it always makes me smile when we have technical difficulties because it's our signature. But today, I like that it was a combination. We're late because of technical difficulties and vanity. We had 0 people tuned in at the appointed time, and we thought we'd just wait until we had a few people. So now we have a few people, and we're late because of vanity.
Yes.
I like your
did that
Beatles
for the people. You know, we figured they didn't want to just jump in and be like, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah. And we did it for us, you know.
Maybe.
Let's be honest. You know, we were talking about Jet Black and Jealous last week, and I was remembering living in New York back in the mid-'80s when I was writing those songs. And I lived in this neighborhood called Inwood. It was way at the tip of Manhattan. It's 218th. Literally, when I'd tell people I live in Manhattan, they'd say, 218th Street, no, you live in the Bronx. And I'd be like, nah, it's the last street in Manhattan. And so it was a long way down to the East Village to play the anti-folk scene, you know, from the west side in Inwood. And I was walking one summer night with my guitar, headed down to play the Sophies in the Village. And these 2 older Irish ladies were sitting out with folding chairs on the sidewalks like they used to do, you know, to cool off in a summer night in front of an apartment building. And as I'm walking by, one of them thinks she's being, you know, cheeky. She calls out, "Oh, would you play us a song, love?" You know, I was 28, man. I'll play a song, drop of the hat. So I go, "Yeah, I'll play a song." She goes, "Oh, no, love. I was just kidding." And I said, "No, I'll play you a song." So open the guitar case and I pull out, and I play a George Jones song called "Picture of Me Without You." And there's a line in the song that says, "If you've seen a red rose unkissed by the dew, then you've seen a picture of me without you." Well, Irish ladies, they start crying. So at the end of the song, they applaud and they say, "That was lovely, love. Would you play us another then?" I said, "Sure, I'll play you another." She goes, "Hang on a second." And she runs to the first floor window of the apartment building. It's open, and she calls in, "Mary, come out here. He's singing about the roses."
Nice. Oh my goodness. So yeah, no, I'm good. I haven't slept like in days. I don't understand what's going on, but you know, I have not slept in days. Yeah, I was.
You're dealing with an infection.
I should be okay now, but I'm not.
You know, this pandemic thing though, I've had periods where like I didn't know what day it was, and I couldn't get it right for like days at a stretch. Right now, I'm on a good stretch. We just got a new bed, and I'm sleeping like a baby. But prior to that, I couldn't get right. I was like, I couldn't get the days right, and I'd wake up at, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning every single day. It was weird. The pandemic's flipped perception of time.
I guess it happens, right? What are we gonna do?
Well, for instance, I was watching Eric Paulson on WWL this morning, and they were doing a special with the Soul Rebels brass band. And the guy from the brass band goes, the last time we saw each other, we were in Cuba. And then Eric remarked on the fact that it was January of 2020, and they were getting ready to take off on a world tour. And then March, it's over. He said that the leader of the band was saying, they had 2 sold-out nights at Brooklyn Bowl, and they got to Brooklyn, they were like, "We're closed, the show's off, you got to get home." And he said the airport was pandemonium with people in hazmat suits and Lysol, and so and that was just 14. The before time seemed much longer ago than 14 months.
I agree. I 100% agree. It just, something's something's off and crazy with it, right? It's just like, friends of mine, I was talking to some guys yesterday. Actually, I talked to Chopper for a minute yesterday, and Chopper was telling me that he's been getting calls from guys saying, hey, we need old guys who getting their vaccines to come do road shows because the young guys aren't going to have them till the end of June, the end of July. We don't know when they're going to have them. So he's like,
being old's coming in handy.
Right. Being old finally, it makes you, the old, and he says the money's stupid, right? He's like, oh, dude, you should see the money. The money's crazy. It's over the top. So, by the way, he was like, hey, if you guys ever need a guest, I'd love to come on and talk. And
have to have Chopper's got great stories, man. When Chopper was he worked for Cowboy Mouth a couple times, more as a favor because we weren't in his price league, but he'd come out with us, and he told me the greatest story. He said that he was sound man for the Nell Brothers, and they got a new tour manager who wasn't from New Orleans. And he said the guy, like one of the first things he did was, nobody eats before the show. We have to move the meal till after the show, and he moves the meal till after the show. And he said after a couple of nights, he comes to Chopper. He goes, the band's not right. They're not really grooving like they should, and they're kind of grouchy. And Chopper goes, yeah, you're not feeding them before the show, man. You got to send them on stage fat and happy if you want them to funk out.
Right.
So they changed the meal to before the show, and they went on stage full and happy, and they sat back and played some funk, man. That's New Orleans players.
Right.
You can't hold the back.
No, not for New Orleans players, man. Yeah, fat and happy. Although, I'll be honest, I stopped eating before shows. Didn't you?
Yeah, but I don't play funk like the Neville Brothers.
This is true. This is true.
I play rock and roll. I got to have edge.
Yes. We want to be. You're right. You play rock and roll. You're supposed to be hungry. You're not supposed to have eaten, right? It's part of it.
Yeah. Well, I went to give a copy of the album of Jet Black and Jealous, which came out in 1992, to the artist who designed it, my old friend Rick Gernhauser, I've known for 40 years. First thing he says, looking at the photo on the back, oh, Pop, you were so skinny. I'm like, well, thank you very much for reminding me of that.
Right.
I'm currently doing without alcohol and sugar for Lent and losing weight. I am going to be skinny again.
Is that the plan?
Well,
yeah, we're trying, right?
I wouldn't say I was strict with it. I would say I might have had a drink or two in the last 15 days. But the Catholic Church allows that on Sundays.
That's what I hear. I
don't, what am I? I'm just doing a dance.
What do I know? Let me see if this is you. Wouldn't it be funny if it was?
What?
You. Let me see if that's
me doing what?
Oh no, that wasn't you. That wasn't you.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's okay. You shouldn't.
And did I tell the story too about the first tour bus we ever had, Cowboy Mouth?
No.
Because we're just talking. We're not scripting anything. So I never remember what we talked about. But over the years in the Mouth, we had several tour buses, and we were blessed. Southern Comfort bought us tour buses and kept us rolling. But the first bus we had, rumor has it, like we only had it for has it, that it had been Madonna's bus at one point, which was big time.
Right.
It had push button doors. It had mirrors on the ceilings and purple lights, and it was all very, very hip. And so then we had it for the weekend, and then they're going to send the real bus, which, the doors open by hand, and it's all wood panel, and there's no lights on the ceiling. There's no mirrors on the ceiling. So we're in the back of the bus on our way to Texas, and our friend Phil DeVille, who was in Mustang Lightning, a great punk band, he's traveling with us as guitar tech, and we're all just like, I don't know about this. I mean, we've been in one tour bus in our whole life, like we're suddenly experts on it. We're like, I don't know about this bus. It doesn't have push button doors. And it doesn't have black lights and no mirrors on the ceilings. I mean, I don't know. It's okay, I guess. Like we're suddenly just looking down at being a tour bus. And we turn to Philly and we go, what do you think, Philly? And he goes, I don't know. I've done this in a station wagon for grins. With everything in perspective, man.
Yes.
He'd have been happy to be going out west in a station wagon just for grins.
Right. Well, you remember when we were traveling around in a van and some of these other bands would be like, oh man, living on the tour bus sucks because this, that, and the other, and oh man, it's like we never get hotels anymore. We got to sleep in the bunks and this, that, and the other. It's like, yeah, try driving in a van with no hotels.
It's all perspective though. Like I remember Hootie and the Blowfish, are great friends of ours, and they got us our major label deal. And their first record sold like 20 million copies, maybe more. Sold millions. And they toured on it for like 2 years, but then they get restless and they want to release new music, so they released their second record. And I think it sold like 7 million copies,
Right.
which the record company considered a failure, and the industry was like, "Oh, it's not as big as their first record." And I remember we're opening for them, and their guitar player, songwriter Mark Bryan, dear friend, is on tour bus with me, and he's looking, kind of down. I go, "What's the matter, man?" And he goes, "Man, the second record it didn't do well, and only sold 7 million." I was just like, "Yeah, we went lint on our last record, you went multi-platinum."
Right. I don't want to hear.
It's all perspective. Oh, it takes 7 million sales in a second. You're platinum, I'm lint.
Hey, you know what? I think I fixed your audio delay problem just now. I was kind of
Well,
futzing
that's
around.
good. We got complaints, man.
I know.
And then looking at me like I know something.
I
I
know, that
don't
was
know
the
anything.
funniest part. Well, see, the thing is, too, is that I've been responding as you on YouTube. So I'm sure that now they're like, they're like, well, Paul.
Well, then they really got something because people go, "Hey, this," and I'm like, I show up with a cup of coffee and talk, and I don't know. Mike is doing it. All.
Yeah, I did it. I went through about 1,000 YouTube forums and found something that was supposed to work. But of course, we didn't get a chance to test it because life's too short. Life's too short.
Yeah. Well, I had a piano lesson yesterday with my friend Bill Malchow in New York. Now, he gave me a couple lessons when I started, 4 or 5 months ago, and it was great. And then I just I know a lot of songs, and I've been in bands, and so I sort of put together how to accompany myself. And I'm having a great time accompanying myself. But I kind of wanted to learn a little bit more about bluesy stuff because it factors into some of the songs I write, and I want to know how to go from playing straight chords to blues. So I had a lesson with him, and he's a great teacher and a fantastic player. And we do a Zoom lesson from New York. He's in New York. But it was a very instrumental-oriented lesson. And I had, it just stuffed my head because it's hard to explain to somebody who loves playing instrumentals how, okay, that's not what I'm looking for. I really just want to accompany myself. It doesn't matter to me if I never play a solo on the piano in my life. I only played solos on guitar because Griff and Fred insisted, and those were not great solos. And then eventually Alex McMurray insisted. So I learned from John Rankin, and I could come up with stuff that would not embarrass me or the audience, and that was fine. And then Alex would make them all go crazy with his solos, and it was great. But with a piano, if I do it at all in public, and who knows if I will, it'll be to play ballads and sing songs with lyrics, and not really to show people that I can, go up to the high notes. So I enjoyed the lesson, and I'm going to work at it like I do. I work at the hardest stuff in private, but it did remind me that I really just like songs. I love my friends who play great solos, but I really just love words and music.
Yes, and you're good at words and music. Oh, speaking of which, I think Skeet has an idea he's been trying to reach you about to work on with him. And remember he called like 2 weeks ago? I think that's what he was calling about.
It's funny that I haven't written in like 2 years because of the surgeries and losing my voice and all kinds of stuff. So now that I'm singing fairly regularly again, it would be interesting to see if I can write again, because I couldn't write if I couldn't sing, because that's how I write. It's not like I'm going to sit down and pick it out on the instrument. It's going to come to me and I'm going to sing it. And so if I get my voice to work, I couldn't write songs.
Well, this actually might be a good exercise for you because he's already got the melody and sort of an idea. So usually you're pretty good if somebody's got an idea of what they're wanting to say and just need some help saying it. You're pretty good at jumping in there,
I'm paraphrasing, but it was a great composer, I believe Stravinsky, said, "If you give me freedom, then you hamstring me. But if you tell me exactly what you want, you give me unlimited ideas."
Right. And you are like that. I mean, for you, it's not constricting at all. Like that for you, I think it opens you up because suddenly like, all right, this is safe, right? It's like, and I guess we all kind of work that way as creatives. If somebody gives you some lanes to stay inside of, then, it's like, okay.
It goes back to the young the child in me, who was the people pleaser, so he wouldn't get his ass kicked. If I can just make you happy,
Right.
I'll do whatever it takes to make you happy. And it transfers well into songwriting because, surprisingly, even really good songwriters have some insecurities about it. And I love just saying, okay, what is that? And okay, great. And it's not that hard. Look, you do what you're strong at, and I'll do what you don't think you're strong at, and then you'll realize you're strong at that too.
Right.
In fact, a wonderful young songwriter I met in Nashville named Sarah Duguay, and she's so talented. I met her in Lafayette, actually, at a songwriting retreat. And then she was like the shining star of the retreat and immediately got offers to move to Nashville. And within like a year, less than a year of living there, she had 2 cuts on Jim Lauderdale's record. She's a real talent. And she just texted me yesterday from San Diego, where she's recording a song of mine, Mexico.
Uh-huh.
And I forget why I got on this subject, but we were talking about what?
Just being inside the lanes when you're being creative.
Yeah. And so she wrote back and she said, I have this song and I want to do it. Who wrote it? And she didn't ask why I wrote it. I said, I wrote it. Somebody bet me that I couldn't write a song on the 20 minutes it took to get from San Diego to Mexico by train. And that's why I wrote the song. And then she texted back, we're in San Diego. The guy I'm recording with is from San Diego. And we're recording it in San Diego right now. So that was pretty weird, I don't know why. That didn't have anything to do with staying in lanes.
I get it.
Moment. We're talking about working with people, and she's one of the talents that I really enjoy. Anyway,
no, you're good. No, you're good. I'm trying to see. I'm playing around while you're doing that.
Let her watch, and friends of mine that have had coffee with me, and they've seen me do this. In fact, my friend Mark Hughes up in Maryland noted to me in a private text that it's really great. He feels like he really missed having coffee with me because I can't go up there. And he says, but the conversations are so tangential. It's just like having coffee with you.
Oh, really? Nice. Well, if he wants to join us, he can always, pitch in and, say hello. Ask, he could.
Really figure out a way to have guests like call in and I don't know how that all
well,
works.
Remember, the trick is that we have to already kind of talk to them and make a little group. Seems to be the trick. And
yeah, it's tricky. It's technology. It's beyond me. It always was, and it always will be.
And thank God, because otherwise, why would I be here? If you knew how to do all this stuff by yourself, I'd be sitting at home, and you'd just be doing the coffee talk show by yourself.
Yeah, I tried too, because I have a friend named Mark Bologna. He has a podcast called New Orleans. He's been doing it for a while, and people love it from all over the world, really. And so he's been after me to start a podcast for a couple of years, and every time I'd sit down to do it, I'd just be like, I have no clue if anything I'm doing is right. And, it wasn't fun. You've made it fun.
Good. Because you don't have anything to do, right? You're like, all I have to do is call up and have coffee. You guys got a problem? Call Mike. Mike will tell you what's up.
Call Mike. Well, plus, it's, it is coffee with a friend, which was sort of an unexpected bonus of the whole thing. I didn't realize how much I miss seeing people. That was my thing, was I would meet people for coffee.
Mm-hmm.
A friend would say, hey, I got something I want to talk to you about. And I'd go, great, I'll meet you for coffee. Because, I don't really hang out in bars too much unless there's somebody I want to see playing.
Right.
And I'm kind of go to bed a little bit early these days. So coffee was my thing. And so now it's great. I'd meet you for coffee and I'd look forward to it. And, and now we have other friends.
You remember we were hanging out for lunch that day. It's so funny because me and Paul we'd been filming all these things. And for whatever reason on this day, we were getting a little bit of a late start. And we were just like,
I can't even imagine that.
Right, us. Never. And anyway, we were sitting there and we decided Paul had picked up lunch for us. So we were sitting there and we were eating lunch. And we sat around and talked for like an hour and a half. And then remember, it was like, you want to film today? Nah, not really. Let's just hang out or whatever. And anyway, that's when we came up with the idea of like, man, this is what the show should be. This is just hang out and talk. And, we could probably fill up. At the time, I was like, we could probably fill up 20, 30 minutes talking, It's no problem. We didn't know we were going to go for an hour, right?
Those days we could go to 30 minutes, though, Mikey. I leave that on the table.
Uh-oh, somebody says, oh, wait, somebody mentions Mexico. Let's see. They love Mexico, one of their favorite songs. So which version? You like Paul's version of Mexico or you like Susan's version of Mexico, I wonder? Because aren't both of them recorded?
Debbie Davis also
She
recorded
did
a
it
version.
too. Okay, on one of your records.
No, on one of her solo records.
Gotcha.
She did a couple songs of mine. Yeah. You know, we played Mexico one time. It was across the border from Acuna, Texas, and I don't even know the name of the Mexican town. But Pat Green, who was really big in Austin, sort of like Robert Earl Keen and he were the two big songwriters of the 90s in Texas. He and Fred were friends, and Pat told Fred that there was this really cool bar down right across from Acuna, Texas, and you really got to go. It's a festival, and I'm going, blah, blah, blah. The biker festival that does great business. So we drive to Acuna, Texas, which you can imagine is not a metropolis, and drive across the border into Mexico. Well, 2 days before we get to Acuna, Texas, Pat Green calls and says, hey, the bikers are involved in a drug war, and it's gotten pretty violent, and we've canceled our gig. You guys should do the same. Well, Pat Green makes a lot of money, and Cowboy Mountain at the time did not. And we didn't really have the luxury of just canceling gigs because, you know, we needed the money to get to the next
town, right?
Yeah. So we're going to go play it, you know, we're going to go. And the promoter, we call him and he says, oh, no, we're not sending a van to pick you up. You have to drive your van with the equipment into Mexico. So, of course, we're going to get searched and the whole deal. Get to town. And at the time, Sonia Tetlow, who's a beautiful woman, is on bass. And our tour manager was an attractive woman. And so there's only two women in Mexico who were not dressed in leather with a headband and under 320 pounds. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It was all biker chicks with their biker husbands. And
they were scary. Just the biker chicks were scary, I'm sure.
They could have killed me. The biker chicks and had me for dinner. The biker dudes weren't even bothering to look at me. And these two decide they're going to go shopping. Well, I'm going to follow them because they don't want me to try and protect them. So I'm going to follow them with, I'm drinking sangria all day for courage, you know, making sure I drag them down an alley. So we play the gig and we survive. It's like 1,000 bikers in this place and I'm really trashed. And, you know, the tour manager, kind of a tough chick, and she counts the money in front of the promoter and says, hey, you shorted me $1,000 in front of like 600 bikers. I'm like, great. Now everybody knows how much we have and that they shorted us. You know, the contract is out on killing the band before they reach the border 1.5 miles away. So we're traveling in two separate vans, and I'm in the van with Sonia and the tour manager, and I'm so drunk after like a good solid 10 hours of drinking sangria, and my nerves are frayed that we survived this thing, that as soon as we get in the van, I fall asleep. I wake up and there's a cop's flashlight in our faces and I can see the border like 150 yards away. And that was the last thing I remembered. And then the next morning at breakfast, Sonia reaches breakfast table same time as me and we're both hungover. It was a rough day over in Mexico and we're having breakfast and she goes, hey, you were really great speaking Spanish and bribing that cop last night. And I was like, huh?
Wait, what?
I had no memory of it. She goes, yeah, you woke up and you said, what's going on? You said, we don't know. We don't speak Spanish. And he's shining that light in our face. And you spoke to him in Spanish. I said in Spanish, I'm the guitar player from Club Corona. How much do you want to let us go? And I turned to them and I said, give him $40 and he'll let us go. And I fell back asleep. Apparently, if I'm incredibly drunk, I speak Spanish well enough to bribe a cop.
That's fucking awesome.
It's a handy skill, obviously. Got us out of the country.
Barbara Smith Davis says Debbie Davis is her favorite version of Mexico. So, yeah.
And you know, Barbara has excellent taste.
Of course she does.
Sure.
I'm sure it's the best one. I'm sure there's no, maternal thing involved with that at all.
I don't know. Ever released me singing. I know Susan did it on Between Friends and Debbie did it on her solo CD. And then you and I recorded me singing it for a version of Between Friends where I did the songs that other people had covered for me. I have yet to release that and I hope to do it. I even was talking about it with Rick yesterday, if I can get the money to release it as an album.
Guys,
with the 7.
Guys, if he releases this, you guys should check it out. It was before he got sick and like right before, I think, like pretty close before, but he was really stretching with the singing, and so some of those songs on Between Friends, kind of Paul pushed things into areas that that he knew he wasn't worried about what he could sing or not. He just kind of went out. There's a few songs in like the ballad, Someone Again and stuff like that. I mean, that's kind of stuff that I kind of feel like you might have wrote that for other people. In fact, I felt like on Between Friends, a lot of it was actually written for other people. It wasn't just like songs that you threw at people. You were like, what might they do well? So yeah, these songs were tough to sing, right? I mean, like you'd done a few things that were like hard for you to sing, but at the time, you just went for it, and it's great performances, guys. It was.
I actually just found the files, Mikey, on my computer, so I'm gonna give them a listen and see if I'm still comfortable releasing it.
Stuff, but
you mentioned we actually mastered them twice.
Did we?
I just never got the courage to release it. Yeah, you mastered them twice. Remember, I was in Nashville right before I got sick. I played at the Bluebird.
You came and hung out and recorded some stuff.
Recording and mastering and finished it off. It was done, and then I just sort of chickened out on releasing it, and
then you got sick,
and then surgeries and losing the voice and pandemics, and life just
moved on,
flows on within you.
And then when you came back, it was kind of like the Beatles, because all of a sudden you went. When did you record the new Jet Black and Jealous? And I don't know the name of that one again.
Hard Renovations. That was the first one I did in the last 4 records. So that was right when I really exploded out of New Orleans, and
gotcha.
My second ex had split, and I was determined to be anywhere but here, and so I made music in Holland and Scotland and Ireland and England and all over the country a half dozen times, and it's great. And I recorded that song as like a sequel to Jet Black and Jealous. I recorded Heart Renovations. The Jet Black and Jealous had come about as a result of a divorce, and Heart Renovations came about as a result of a divorce. So I made the pictures look similar to show the old man singing to the young boy, and I made the song lineup feel similar, right down to having the harmonica being the only other instrument and having one instrumental on the record. So
it was your conceptual. It was a concept.
Yes, and nobody cared but me, but I cared, and I had a great time doing it.
It matters. It matters. Eddie Ecker's like asking if you have any vocal advice. He's cutting vocals today.
Yes, tell him to get in touch with Barbara Smith Davis and get some real vocal advice.
There you go.
It's not expensive, and she's a great teacher, and she would teach you all the things about controlling your voice that frustrate you as a singer and make you a really good, solid singer.
And Eddie, she happens to be on the same thread, so maybe you could say hello on the thread. Just say it. Who else said something? Oh, Philip loves the story about the bribing the cop. I don't think anybody's heard that one before. That's a new one. The cop bribing. That is great.
Well, there are some stories that you're proud of. There are some stories that just happened.
Now, I like that little bit. You have a couple of songs about marijuana and Mexican. And I wasn't around for that little bit either when you were spending so much time in Mexico. And wasn't it after Katrina, I guess, right, that you wrote a couple of those?
Yeah, I was on Cowboy Mouth was playing in Wyoming, in Jackson, Wyoming. And we were taking a trip down the river. Really great trip, like saw moose and, big game and stuff. It was a summertime trip. And we met this couple who said, they had lost everything in a hurricane 10 years earlier. They owned a resort down there. And if I wanted to come down and stay for a couple of weeks, they'd be glad to have me. So I was supposed to go for a couple of weeks, and the night before I was supposed to leave, I quit Cowboy Mouth, and I wound up staying for like 3 months, essentially until they said, you really have to go back home now. It's 3 months. But it was pretty beautiful. The dirt streets, there were no paved streets at all. There were no cars allowed on the island. I was on the island of San Pedro in Belize. And the children would walk to school at, sunrise by themselves. It was totally safe because it was an island. And I remember there was one crime in the 3 months that I lived there. There was a construction worker from Costa Rica who stabbed another construction worker from Costa Rica over the last beer with a screwdriver.
No kidding. Wow.
And then The third grade class marched in the streets with signs saying, "Stop the violence."
Wow.
It was just gorgeous, man. And, fresh food, and you sort of live from sun up to sundown because, you know, there wasn't great television reception, and you had it was a different way of life. It was amazing because New Orleans was under construction and it was taking forever to put the city back together. And I was watching them build condos. I was watching the locals build condos, and they'd be taking like tree limbs with machetes and hacking them into braces that were straight braces. And they were building condos like faster than we could build new housing in New Orleans,
right.
with machetes and tree limbs. I was just like, what are we doing wrong back home?
Well, we have codes and regulations here. I don't think they were.
And as we found out later, people to get paid off and bribed.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
There's always that too.
Yes.
Which is a lot less of that going on down there.
Right. There's not
a Belican we're in.
Randy Baker, you're right. Mexico is one of everybody's favorites. But all right, the song I was thinking about, what's the one? Is it? It's basically pass the weed, but in the morning, smoke it in the evening, smoke it in the.
Mota.
I was thinking puta.
Well, my Belizean host, who I shall remain nameless because he's a respectable businessman, taught me that if you wanted to find marijuana on the beaches, that you would just say mota, which smoke.
Right.
And so, with his help on the translation, I wrote a little song that I recorded on Farewell to Storyville. It was had a trumpet solo on it, played by a famous New Orleans unknown trumpet player named Babyface Ladyman. I'll explain more about that later.
Yes, you will have to.
But the song is very simple. It was mota, 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 tienen mis amigos. Donde está la mota para mí? Es verdaderamente aquí es mota excelente. Donde está la mota para mí? Si que no tengo dinero, pues que no tengo trabajo. Anyway, it was mota, mota, mota. All my friends have smoke. Where's mine?
Right.
It's true. It's true there's excellent smoke here, but where's mine? They say it's because I have no money. They say it's because I have no job. But still, I like to smile when I have smoke.
So please, where's my smoke?
Where's mine?
I love it. I loved it when I first heard it. I thought it was a great tune anyway.
John Boutte loved it when he first heard it. And he was the one who recommended Babyface Ladyman on trumpet, because Babyface is kind of an underground trumpet player. He's ironically the exact same height, weight, and build as John Boutte. He is not John Boutte because, John's a singer. He's not a trumpet player. Babyface did make an appearance at my CD release party for Farewell to Storyville. He showed up with one of John Boutte's best friends, big tall fellow named Bill. We know him as Cardinal Bill Lynn, who often protects John. He was protecting Babyface Ladyman in much the same way. It's very similar, though it wasn't. I reiterate, John Boutte, they're two different personalities. He showed up wearing a black derby, all black clothing, and a black stocking over his face. And he walked up to the stage and sat down. He played the one song to thunderous applause, Mota, Mota, Mota. And his bodyguard stood by with arms folded and sunglasses on. When Babyface, not John Boutte, I reiterate, finished his solo, he held his arm out, and the bodyguard helped him off the stage and cleared a path for him through the club. And Babyface exited after his one song, remaining the mystery he is to this day, one of the true New Orleans enigmas.
Yes. Philip actually apparently knows who he is because it was a favorite of his. And Mark, you're right. That word I said is very different than mota, and luckily hopefully we don't have too many Spanish-speaking viewers, because God knows what I said, and I imagine it's not very nice. So that's all I can imagine. But all right, so Babyface Ladyman, one gig and out. Was that all it was?
One song and
one
out.
Song, boom, in, out.
The club was packed. He got led in by his bodyguard, all dressed in leather with sunglasses. He got led straight to the stage. He sat down wordlessly on a stool with his arms folded until I announced him. He pulled his trumpet out of the case. He played his part on Mota, Mota, Mota. He put his trumpet back in the case. He took a slight bow. His bodyguard let him out of the door.
Boom.
And he disappeared into the mystery of the New Orleans night, ever remaining the enigma that babyface Lady Man, the brilliant trumpet player that he is, remains in our city.
No kidding.
And he, again, I reiterate, not John Boutte.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, if you keep saying that, I'm going to start to wonder if it really was John Boutte. I don't want to,
you know. I've never seen them both in the same place at the same time.
Peter Parker thing?
But I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they're two entirely different characters, personalities.
Yes. Oh, I believe. Oh, by the way, I just saw John on Facebook. He's doing something, right? I just saw something really cool.
Oh, Luis is trying to join us.
Yes, Luis, you could come on and join in while we're finishing this up.
Yeah.
But did you see that thing on John's doing something? He's gonna call, and then he should call us, right? Come on, Luis.
I think he's trying to right now.
I don't think so. I don't see him. He just texted us.
I got him.
Oh, you see him?
No, I got him.
Well, you answer. No, the notice said he's ready to join us, so he texted us. So he's gonna call in.
Okay, I trust you.
I think, anyway. Yeah.
John's doing something. There he is.
See? There he is.
Hey guys, how are you?
We're doing pretty good. I'm just waiting for everybody to show up on the screen.
Yeah, I'm more listening to stories about Mexico, and I know I'm here for the superhero roundup, but I have my stories about Mexico too for Paul's song.
Well, wait. You're not here. You only have a voice.
Oh, wait 1 second. Here he goes.
There he is. All right.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna bring Luis on. All right. So there's Luis, and let me get rid of this guy right here. This one. Which one is this one? That is that one. Let's do that. And all right, Luis. Let's do it again.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Except for Paul, you're frozen. So maybe you should talk a little bit.
Frozen.
You did. You froze.
Yeah.
Do I have to hang up and call back?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe you call us right back. Same little group though.
Oh.
He's coming back. See, look, it's just you and me now. It's just you and me now. And there's Paul. Let's see if we can get everybody together. Hey, there's everybody together. Now, the only thing I have to do, though, is get rid of this extra little thing of Luisi. Let's do this.
We always have to have some technical difficulties, dude. It's our calling card.
Of course. It's what we love. It's the reason we're here. Now you're on top.
I'm the cause of it, sir.
So what's your Mexico story?
So I heard this song. Well, so Paul was in Chicago celebrating his 10-year anniversary at the time, and Griff was doing a solo show at White's Post Pub. Acoustic. We show up, and then just Paul showed up to say, "I'm going to show up at your set," and then Griff takes a little breather and he lets Paul play Mexico, and that was the first time I heard it. I'm like, cool, fun song, great, Mexico. I'm Mexican. This works. A couple of years later, Paul goes, "Hey, Luis, translate Mexico in Spanish for me." I'm like, fuck. Okay, sure. Let's translate Mexico in Spanish. And I always tell Paul my Spanish sucks. So I call in all the big guns. I call in my mom. I call in relatives that are born in Mexico. I'm like, I need you guys all to help me translate this. All right, cool. It takes me about a month to get this translated. And so I see Paul at Summerfest in Milwaukee. So Paul, here you go. It's like a kid handing in a grade report. Here you go, Paul. Check this out. Paul goes, cool, come to the green room. So we're in the green room. Paul's back there strumming the guitar, translating everything. Oh, man, this is good. Paul, this is not the best translation. Paul's like, I know, don't worry about it. This is good. This is good. So a little bit, around that time, he had that show at Shuba's, right? And then we had Boutte and everybody there. And then you start playing Mexico. And before then, you give it the credit of, my friend Luis helped me translate this into Spanish. And that moment, I'm like, fuck. This is everybody else who speaks Spanish in there. I'm like, I'm going to die, That's one of those, like, if I get it wrong, it's Luis's fault. And I was like, that's cool. I could think that, right? And then Paul goes to Belize for 3 months. And, of course, those 3 months in Belize, Paul learns the Spanish he knows. And he comes back to me, and he's like, Luis, you translated that wrong. And I'm like, I'm gonna punch you, dude. I mean, and I told you, Belize has different dialect. I said all these different countries. It's like saying y'all. You know what I mean? From the north to the south. You know, y'all take care of yourself. You know, I was trying to tell Paul, Belize is gonna be different from Mexico, from Cuba, from Puerto Rico. So
I have to tell you, I'm from the Irish Channel, and I'm blunt. That's all. I don't mean anything by it. I'm blunt.
Oh, no, trust me, that was fine.
After the flood, Boutte would come by. I lived above Fifi Mahoney's wig shop on Royal Street. And he would come by at like 8 o'clock in the morning. He'd do a little bird whistle. I'd come out, I'd see him. I'd go out on my bike, and John and I would ride through the quarter, have coffee. And every block or so, somebody would call out, "Hey, John Boutte," and he'd stop. He's the friendliest guy in the world. He'd stop. 10 minutes, we're talking. "Hey, John Boutte," he'd stop. He'd talking. Somebody called out to me. "Hey, Paul Sanchez." I went, "Hey, man, how you doing?" I kept pedaling. And Boutte goes, "That's what I like about you, baby. You ain't afraid to tell a motherfucker to fuck off." And
that's awesome.
To me, that was me being friendly. I'm going, "Hey, I didn't tell him to fuck off. I told him, hey, I'm not going to stop." Shit, I'm right box.
Yeah, I know. So then with the Mota song, Paul did a gig, and I was in India. I came back after 3 months. I had a pool party at my sister's, and I think Mota was relatively newer for Paul at that time. And, you know, Paul loves my mom, and then Paul looks around, and he's like, "Hey, Luis, where's your mom?" "She's inside the house right now, Paul." "Okay, Mota, here we go." We're like, "What?"
All right. So,
and that other word you used, Mike, that's not a...
Yeah, I didn't think it was a good word.
we're
Anyway.
here at Chicago Lou with the superhero review.
Sorry.
And I hear WandaVision's over, right?
Yes.
And
Mike,
how do we
I
feel
did
about
not see.
that?
You know, I forgot. I was up till 5 a.m, and I forgot it was. Wow.
They actually did it before 3 o'clock today.
No
so,
kidding. No kidding.
Yeah.
Hey, before we get into superhero world, can I show you off? Let me show off. Let's show Barf. This was Louis. You can't see it, but I'm showing that picture of you as Barf, which was just.
With Dennis
Yes.
Rodman?
Well, I took Dennis Rodman out of the shot.
Which
one? With you at Comic-Con as Barf. Anyway, just so that people can see what a great, ridiculously good Barf you are. You look like John Candy. It's ridiculous.
Oh, no, there's more other people that look more like John Candy. I just get to pull off the persona when I'm
That
doing
must
Barf.
be fun.
See, when Paul said, I listened to the last show where Paul's like, "I have major questions for Luis." I'm like, shit, because since Paul had me do a cosplay story, I was going to do another cosplay story. But I'm like, and I'm over here practicing, like, how am I going to say this? How am I going to say this? Because one of the things that Paul pointed out to me one time, he goes, "Luis, you start every story off with, 'Okay, so." I'm like, so I learned 2 things that day. 1, he's right. 2, Paul actually listens to my shit. That was like, great.
Nice.
Now, before you get into the cosplay story, I do have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
It's bugging me, and I need somebody to tell me.
Okay.
First of all, Mike keeps talking about the virtual reality, and now there's a meta reality, and I'm looking for like reality. Now I understand that there's multiverse in the comic book world, and somehow Michael Keaton is going to be playing Batman in this world.
Okay.
Now, I like Michael Keaton's Batman, but that's like what, 30 years ago?
Yep.
So is he going to be playing like Batman getting his ass kicked?
Okay, so here's 2 things. Let's not mix them up. You have the multiverse for Marvel, which we won't touch right now. Okay, because once you watch WandaVision, that'll be a little bit easier for you to understand.
Okay.
But we will talk about the Batman one. All right. So Michael Keaton is going to come out in the Flash movie, and from my understanding, that Flash movie is going to be called Flashpoint, based on a comic book series that came out about 10 years ago. So what happened about 10 years ago? Flash wakes up one morning at work, and everything seems to be normal, but everything's not normal. He runs into his mother. The thing is, his mother had passed away years back. So he realized this isn't the regular continuity, and he's like, "Hey, where's the Justice League? What are you talking about? Where's Superman? What are you talking about? What about Batman? Oh, we know Batman." He goes looking for Batman. He encounters Batman, and he's like, "Hey, Bruce, what's going on?" He's like, "What are you talking about? I'm not Bruce." Batman was actually Bruce Wayne's dad, Thomas Wayne. So now everything got changed. This is definitely spoilers, people. So everything got changed. So I don't know what this movie's going to do with it. So it turns out what ended up happening is Barry went back in time to save his mother, the Flash, and he changed everything. Right? And one of the things he changed, this reality made where instead of Bruce Wayne's parents dying, it was Bruce Wayne who died that night in the alley by Joe Chill.
Huh. Okay, so Ben Affleck.
Well, maybe if Ben Affleck's in this, right? I don't know.
You can't win for losing here.
Right. So
I mean, it's a toss-up between he and Val Kilmer for the worst Batman.
Yeah, I'll give you that. So everybody loves the fact that, Michael Keaton's coming back, because if you notice, like Marvel and DC, they tend to use some of these older characters who are very popular in the 90s and 80s, and they bring them back for roles. Like, you have Robert Redford, Glenn Close, right? They bring in all these people who play all these cool backup roles in movies. Sure, we'll do it. It's a big, budget movie. We'll be in it. Yeah. So, and that, so Marvel had taken Michael Keaton when he played the Vulture in the Spider-Man movies. Right. So DC's like, man, I don't know how it works over there, but they may have got a little butthurt and said, we want Michael Keaton back. We want our Batman back. Here's a role where you play an older cast, right? So they never said he was Bruce Wayne, because I read up the articles. He's coming back as Batman, but they never said if he's Bruce Wayne or Thomas Wayne. See what I mean? So they never said that. I've never seen that. So, and a lot of people are getting excited that it might be the 89 Batman again, because to your point, when you start comparing all these other Batman after Michael Keaton, a lot of people are fans of the Michael Keaton Batman.
He was a great Batman, and so was the nutty guy, Christian Bale.
I liked him.
Yeah, he was a great Batman.
Yeah, I liked him, and I wasn't too happy with Ben Affleck, but hey, they went with the big name.
He had a tough movie. He had Superman versus Batman, which is one of the stupidest movies in the history of superhero movies, because Superman is a god from another planet who can melt you with his eyes. Batman is a billionaire with toys. Okay, game over. Superman.
You should see this one. Like they had that college humor on YouTube where they make fun of those things, and Superman goes up to Batman. We need to team up. Batman goes, why? You have everything. What do you need me for? And like, this is so ridiculous. And Superman's like, do you want to be friends or not? Batman's like, you're missing everything.
Even Superman needs bait.
Yeah. So then, and to what Mike pointed up last time about the Snyder Cut for Justice League, what made me laugh about that is, I have that geek group on Facebook, and some people wear their hearts on their sleeves, right? So they're easy targets for me sometimes. And I put out there, why is Snyder getting all the support, right? Oh my gosh, you should see some of the responses I got back. Everybody's just real passionate about this. Luis, what do you mean he messed up the Watchmen? You don't know what you're talking about. And, I baited. I ain't gonna lie. I could care less, right? And I'm sure a lot of my friends, I told them, hey, I'm going to be on this YouTube thing. Fact check me if you need to. But, because Snyder lost his daughter to suicide, right? Yeah. That's part of the reason why he got off. And this one organization actually managed to raise $500,000, I think, for suicide awareness through this for his daughter. So I thought that was pretty, yeah.
All right, listen, we're running short on time, but I want to hear your cosplay story.
Oh, okay. So I'm in New Orleans, 2017. And you were nice enough to let me crash at your place. And it was Halloween. And went with my cousin, Sonia. And we end up going all around. She got drunk early, so she called it a night. I'm like, I'm not going to call it a night on Halloween early. So I go out, and I don't know the name of the park, but there's that park right there, right next to Frenchman Street.
That's Washington Square Park.
Okay, I always tend to park there. I always find parking there, thankfully. So I end up parking there, end up on Frenchman Street, and I should have used this as a sign. I think I was at the Zon, or I forgot where I was, and the horn band that was playing ended up playing Nirvana.
Oh boy.
I'm like, wow, I never heard this on horns. This is amazing. And I should have took that as a sign, okay? But I didn't, because this is New Orleans. And I was mad that night because the lady was pulling on my tail as barf. And I turned around, I cussed her out. Her husband tried getting in on that. I cussed him out too. I was like, cosplay's not consent. You don't touch another person. It's just the way it goes, right? I started making my way down. I started in Bourbon Street, and I heard they closed down, but there was a place called Daisy Dukes over on Canal and Chartres. A friend of mine was working there that I made from always visiting. I go visit him. It's about 3:50 in the morning, and I get out. I'm going, man, I have to walk all the way back to Frenchman Street because it's on the other side of the quarter, right? So I take do I walk Chartres all the way down, or do I go over to Bourbon Street, right? Like one last hurrah. I'm still dressed like Barf. And I'm like, you know what, Louis, just go down to Chartres. I look at Chartres, and it just looks like one big dark tunnel. I'm like, shit, this is scary, right? I'm walking, and I see a guy, taking a shit against a building. I'm like, you know what, maybe I should have done
You saw a guy
Street.
taking a shit against the building. I just had to stop for 1 second. You saw a guy okay. Nice.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, who hasn't?
So then I keep on walking, and I see an entourage of guys just coming, being very loud down the street. And I'm like, man, I don't want to deal with this. This is one of the things I don't want to deal with at 4 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, should I cross the street? I had gotten what I call silver beer muscle because, Paul, I take boxing classes, right? So, these guys want to square, we'll square. We'll figure out what we're going to do. So I keep walking, and I'm dead tired. I keep walking, and the guys start getting closer. I recognize the guy leading the pack. I go, no. Getting closer? No. Getting closer? Shoot. David Grohl from the Foo Fighters pack. And I'm going, it is theirs. And he played Voodoo Fest that night. He was the headliner that Saturday night for Voodoo Fest. And getting closer. I said, Luis, screw it. This is going to be like the only time you're really going to see David Grohl. I get closer. I go, hey, man, Dave, how about a picture, He looks me over one time to make sure I wasn't like drunken fool. I was just a tired fool. I wasn't drunken, right? He goes, sure, we could take a picture. And all his buddies are, oh, man, that's a great Barf. Da-da-da-da. And I look to see what he's going to say. I don't think he recognized Barf. I think that's okay. It's David Grohl. He don't have to recognize Barf. So I start trying to take a selfie. He's looking at. So I was going to actually send you these pictures.
Yes.
I'll send you these pictures, Mike, and you can post them next week if you like. So David Grohl's looking at me. He's not looking straight at the camera. I'm like, dude, this is killing me. And then second picture, he sticks his tongue out at me. I'm like, oh, wait, I speak that language. I stick my tongue out too. So you have a picture of David Grohl sticking out his tongue to the side. I'm sticking it to the camera. So I appreciate that, David Grohl took the selfie with me. After the selfie, I stick on my hand, hey, man, nice meeting you, right? So I'm out cool with meeting David Grohl. And what does he tell me? Hey, man, that's great. He goes, have a nice life. It was like somebody took a needle off a record. I was like, holy shit, did we just break up? That's what you tell somebody when you just broke up with them. Have a nice life. I'm like, oh, man, David Grohl broke up with me. Yeah, there's a good chance I'm never going to see him again. But why'd you break up with me, David Grohl? That was like, you know what? I can't tell anybody that happened because nobody's going to believe that David Grohl would have such a remark. And he didn't mean it bad, of course, right? But it's 4 a.m. I'm tired. I'm like, really? Then, of course, somebody invited me that week after going, hey, Louise, I saw your story on Facebook. I have Foo Fighter tickets. Come up to Madison, Wisconsin. Okay. So there I was in Madison, Wisconsin the next week. And I'm like, I really wanted to yell out like, it's a nice life. But, he wasn't going to hear that.
Well, he could have told you to fuck off. So maybe.
Well, that's true. Oh, no, trust me. I'm glad with what I got. Believe it. I'm glad with what I got.
All right, we're right at 1 hour, so we're going to sign off, guys.
All right.
Luis, thanks for stopping in with the superhero review. Next week, you're going to go deeper into WandaVision because Mikey will have watched it and you won't be spoiled.
And then how many weeks off do we have before Falcon and Winter Soldier start? Is it like 2 weeks or
something? Yeah, it's sometime like late March, I think, somewhere around there. So
wait, you want to hear how crazy I am?
Godzilla
versus Kong is coming out soon, and I just can't wait. That trailer was awesome.
I'm looking forward for that one. I'm looking forward for more of that than the.
Me too. I'll be honest.
More forward to that than the Justice League.
The Justice League, though, is like 4 hours to disappear. Speaking of disappearing for 4 hours, for some reason, I've been doing this coloring thing, and I just wanted to see The Hobbit because of how beautiful, every frame is a picture, and I just wanted to kind of look at it and see it, and I kind of got sucked in and was watching it because it's just so beautiful to look at, right? I mean, that's about the.
Oh gosh, I always piss off Lord of the Rings fans. I go,
Right.
Listen, all that magic, and they couldn't
actually,
make
those
Frodo
were the
some
shoes, right? The
Oh
no
my
feet were the shoes.
You would not be Well, that's the response I get. Luis had leathery feet. He didn't niche.
No,
I'm
they
like,
actually
chill,
made
baby.
the
I'm
leathery
just,
feet as shoes,
messing
right?
with you.
They just
he could bring a big ass. See, I mean, like you could bring a big ass bird, but you could make Frodo some Jordans.
Look,
I mean, come
the
on,
story is a story, but and The Hobbit is way too long. But it is so pretty to look at. Oh my God, it's just gorgeous, man. And if you can, it's like listening to a record because it sounds great. Maybe you don't love the songs, but there's some bands you listen to because, my God, it sounds good. I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what's going on, but man, does it sound good. And, it's a similar thing for me, the technical side of it.
Oh, Paul, I did buy your new vinyl. So
Thank
I
you, Luis.
sent it to my brother because he's the one that's collecting vinyl. I had to
Nice.
ship to Arizona, but I wouldn't be able to do anything with it. But
Thank you.
And
buddy.
then I'm sure
You
Snyder's
saw the sale
version
go?
of Justice League is going to be way prettier
Appreciate
than
it, pal.
Joss Whedon's version. And
oh
It'll be-
gosh, because last one was 4
you don't
hours.
have to get
but
through it
sure,
in one
I'm
sitting.
giving
That's
it.
why
I'm
you
gonna
watch
give it a
at home.
try.
You can go eat in
I
the
mean, I
middle
watched
of it.
Coming into America.
Maybe go take a walk. That's right.
I mean, I saw Coming to America 2 last night. Have you guys seen? Oh, just before.
Which one?
Give that movie I
Oh,
Care
that's
About
right.
on Netflix a try if you haven't seen that.
I heard about that.
It's very good. And I don't really recommend movies, but that one I recommend. And I'm
Did
over
anybody
texting
see
Paul.
the trial of the
Hey, did you
Chicago
see this? Paul's
7
like, yeah, I'm like,
yet?
fuck it. I'm never gonna.
I haven't seen it yet either, but it's Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah, I
have
I'm a
not.
fan, and
Great movie.
we're way
Way
over.
over.
Hey, you guys
Thank
are
you.
mad at us because we're over? No, they're
Way
hanging out.
over,
They're
buddy.
happy. They're good. No. Do you have some place to be?
Yeah,
Paul? Is
the
that what you're trying to
FCC
say?
is not gonna come after any time.
No, I'm just. I'm trying to
we have
adhere
rules.
to our own rules.
I like to keep Luis on the
Oh,
spot
that-
like this.
that's-
Luis
yeah,
is like,
I
man, I might have
definitely-
to say something else. I don't know about all of this stuff, man. Let me get the heck.
We still have plenty more next week. Don't you worry about
Yes.
that.
I gotta go back to work. So that's
Yeah, he's
not,
got to go back to work.
That's
He
right.
only has a few minutes. He's
And-
supposed to spare with us anyway.
right.
Thanks,
We'll
Luis.
see everybody.
All right, guys, you
real
guys take it
quick.
easy. Have a nice
Luis,
weekend.
Luis, go back
See
to
you next
work
time.
real quick. And wait, me and Paul have to tell. You can go ahead and go, Luis. Me and Paul have to tell everybody about real quick next Monday.
Talking music and time Tony Award winner. He is the Observer from The Fringe. He's Mr. Tiny from Cirque du Freak. He is a wonderful actor, a wonderful singer, and a fantastic songwriter.
You know what? He was also in Ant-Man versus Wasp.
Was he? No. Who was this that was in that too? Oh, right. Well, who is he in Ant-Man versus the Wasp? Hold on, let me bring you back up,
She had
Luis.
the flashback with the one
No,
girl
you're back
who's
up.
Ghost. Oh, sorry. So the girl Ghost, which had a flashback about her father dying, he was the father.
No kidding.
because when I saw him, I'm like, that's Mike. I was like, that's Paul's friend. That's what I first thing. It's not Michael Silver. That's Paul's friend.
I'm sure he'll be pleased to know that he's known as Paul's friend. He is a two-time Tony winner, but he is Paul's friend.
Hey, it's how I know him, right? It's like I told you. I'm like Mike. Mike's from St. Louis, right? Beaten Path. I had that CD, and I was like, I had to get burned with Paul. I'm like, Mike's Beaten Path again, right? I met him in St. Louis that one time. You guys played at some show. Yeah, that's him. He
Right.
I think he did like an acoustic set with Skeeter Hanks.
Was I an asshole?
And
or
that's
was
when
I okay?
that was like that one time I met you in person. No, you know what? You got a little cheeky with Paul on stage, and Paul didn't like that.
I haven't
but
known to get
I
cheeky,
can't
haven't
remember
I,
what was
Paul?
said. Well, that's Kate. Let me go back. I'll see you
That's
guys.
why we
Yep.
do this. All right. Well, I'll see you guys on Monday. I'll see
Yeah,
Luis.
you
I'll
guys
see
take
you
it
Friday.
easy. We
Mikey, I'll
enjoyed the
see you
show
on
today.
Monday,
Have
buddy.
fun.
like a cat, it was a present from my brother. I read a lot of books, but I couldn't see between the lines. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. Well, her hair is as black as an alleyway, and it used to be red, and it used to be blonde. Truth is, her hair changes color all the time. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind.